In this project, we explore Paolo Veronese monumental painting The Wedding at Cana through three integrated analytical lenses: theological, artistic, and symbolist. These perspectives are not simply academic categories, they are active tools that allow us to engage with the painting's layered meanings. Through this approach, we argue that The Wedding at Cana is not just a religious painting, it's a visual archive of the 16th century Venetian society, filled with science, power, and paradox. So, why this painting? Why this lens? We chose this particular painting for its complexity. It doesn't just tell a biblical story, it recreates that story through the lens of Renaissance Venice, a society at once deeply religious, proudly secular, and highly performative. The decisions to focus on theological, artistic, and symbolist lenses reflects our belief that this painting operates on multiple levels simultaneously. It's not simply a depiction of Christ's miracle, it's also a demonstration of cultural identity, political ambition, and visual sophistication. Our goal is to unpack these layers in a critical and historically grounded way. From a theological standpoint, the painting centers on the first miracle of Christ, the transformation of water into wine at a wedding feast in Cana, as described in the Gospel of John. This is not just the beginning of Jesus' public ministry, it is the first sign of divine intervention that reveals his sacred identity. Mary's comment, "Do whatever he tells you," is often interpreted as a moment of obedient faith. It also positions her as a spiritual intercessor between the divine and the human, a role central to Catholic theology. But Veronese does more than just depict this miracle. He expands it. The miracle takes place not in a modest Galilean home, but in grand Venetian palace. Christ and Mary are at the center of the table, yet their placement is visually subtle, almost easy to overlook. This compositional choice suggests a theological message. The divine can be hidden amid the noise and splendor of everyday life. In placing Christ at the literal and symbolic heart of the scene, Veronese affirms that grace operates quietly yet centrally in the midst of human celebration. The theological meaning also deepens when we consider the painting's original location, the refectory of San Giorgio Maggiore Monastery. As art historian Peter Humphrey notes, the theme of miraculous wine was particularly appropriate for a monastic dining hall. The scene resonates with the Eucharist, the Christian ritual in which bread and wine becomes the body of blood of Christ. Thus the painting becomes more than a narrative, it becomes a visual mediation on the mystery of divine presence and transformation. This is evident in nearly every square inch of this immense canvas, measuring over 10 meters wide. Through the artistic lens, we see not just technical skill, but an intentional statement about aesthetics, culture, and vision. This composition is a masterclass in balance. With over 130 figures, the painting could easily collapse into chaos. Instead, it breathes with rhythm and space, leading the viewer's eye through an ordered world of action, elegance, and visual harmony. The architecture is distinctly Venetian marble columns, classical arches, and ornate balustrades mirror of grandeur of the city itself. By embedding Christ's miracle in a palatial setting, Veronese aligns with biblical narrative contemporary opulence. This is not merely an artistic choice, It's a reflection of how Venice viewed itself as the inheritor of divine favor and the center of civilized cosmopolitan world. Color, too, is central to Veronese vision. The painting features over 20 pigments, a stunning range for the time. He uses lapis lazuli, a rare and costly blue pigment imported from Afghanistan, for the sky and drapery, emphasizing Venice's privileged access to global trade routes. Reds and golds saturate the garments, creating an atmosphere of luxury and abundance. But this richness isn't just decorative. It communicates status, hierarchy, and emotional intensity. Veronese's approach, as discussed by art historians like Ton and Hansen, diverges from his more restrained contemporaries. He doesn't shy away from theoretically. He embraces it, using color and form to create a scene that dazzles both eye and the imagination. The symbolist lens allows us to examine how meaning is embedded in the smallest details. In the wedding at Cana, nearly every object can be interpreted as a sign. Take, for instance, the queen's fruits served to the guests. Known as cotignac in the 16th century France, these were traditionally served at the weddings, and their inclusion links the painting not only to biblical ritual but also to contemporary European customs. We also see a parrot perched on the left, a striking and unusual detail. In Renaissance iconography, parrots often symbolized exoticism and speech. Their presence here may allude to Venice's global trade networks and to the theme of divine communication through unexpected vessels. Even the tableware offers clues. Each guest has their own napkin, fork, and trencher. The attention to cutlery and fabric reflects the social codes of elite dining in Veronese's time. This meticulous realism turns the painting into a visual document of material culture. It shows us how people ate, dressed, and interacted, and how these rituals were saturated with meaning. Gestures, too, are symbolic. Some guests look toward Christ, while others remain engrossed in their own conversations. This visual tension between the sacred and the secular echoes the central question of the painting. How do we see the divine in the midst of daily life? Through this lens, we don't just look at the painting, we read it like a coded historical text. The wedding at Cana is not just a religious painting, it is also a political and cultural statement. Scholars have long debated the identities of some guests at the feast. While many identifications remain speculative, some prominent suggestions include Eleanor of Austria, Francis I of France, Mary I of England, Suleiman the Magnificent, and even Vittorio Colonna. Their presence would elevate the status of the work while aligning it with contemporary power dynamics. The musicians in the foreground may also include fellow Venetian artists, Titian, Bassano, Tintoretto, and Veronese himself, who is believed to be figure in white playing the viola da gamba. These inclusions function as artistic signatures, but also as quiet assertions of legacy. Veronese isn't just documenting a miracle, he is placing himself and his peers within a divine narrative. This merging of sacred story and personal presence is distinctly Renaissance move. It reflects an age in which art, status, and faith were deeply entangled. Perhaps the most striking aspect of this painting is its tension between sacred content and secular style. Christ's miracle is present, yes, but it's almost easy to miss. The feast is loud, ornate, and socially charged. This isn't an image of humble faith, it's a visual spectacle of luxury and sophistication. And yet, Through that very spectacle, Veronese leads us to ask, where does the sacred live in world of distraction? Art historian Tom Nichols suggests that Veronese's use of contemporary Venetian settings made the miracle more relatable to his 16th century audience. But for today's viewer, it offers something else. It reminds us the religious meaning often arrives quietly amidst noise, ego, and distraction. The painting is not just a celebration of a miracle, it's a subtle critique of the society that surrounds it. Historians approach this painting not just as a work of beauty, but a source. Through their three lenses, which is theological, artistic, and symbolist, the wedding at Cana becomes a window into a particular moment in time. It reveals the values of Renaissance Venice, a deep commitment to faith, a celebration of artistic achievement, and a fascination with power, wealth, and spectacle. It shows how divine and the human were imagined to coexist, how Christ could be placed at the center of a worldly banquet without disrupting its grandeur. In this sense, the painting becomes an archive, not just a miracle, but an entire worldview. It teaches us that history isn't always written in text, sometimes it's painted. In the wedding at Cana, Veronese speaks in color, composition, and symbol. Through theology, he gives us a story of transformation. Through artistry, he gives us a vision of order and luxury. Through symbolism, he invites us to look deeper and question what we see. This painting is not just something to admire, it's something to study, to interpret, and to challenge. By analyzing it through our three perspectives, we have tried to uncover its complexity, not only as a religious image, but as a political, cultural, and historical statement. It is this richness that allows the wedding at Cana to continue speaking across centuries, across disciplines, and across beliefs.